Today, I stand before you to unravel the narrative of a scientific revolution in skincare that is repending our understanding of beauty. A revolution that goes beyond our superficial layers of the skin, diving deep into the molecular architecture that determines not only how we look, but also how we age. And this is the very fascinating and captivating story of the epigenetic science in skincare. One of the most exciting prospects of epigenetic science is move toward personalized skincare, since our epigenetic makeup varies based on our unique experiences and exposures. It is also very, very interesting that these variances allows for treatments tailored specifically to an individual's needs. By understanding a person's unique epigenetic skin profile, companies are starting to offer personalized skincare regimen and routines, and also personalized treatments that target specifically the individual's needs. And this approach is based on the idea that if we can identify the epigenetic changes taking place in individual skin, we can better target those changes with specific treatments. A sustainable future, equally important for us nowadays, is taking very, very specific attention toward our environment, all the changes in our environment that determine also how we live and our experiences, and even the food that we are taking that has so many effects on our personal health and also on our skin and the way that we age. If you look around, we'll find a lot of allergies nowadays, a lot of skin diseases and issues rising more and more. When I remember going to school ages ago, however, there were less people with allergies actually in my school than you find them today, even at child's ages. And this goes back actually to all those changes taking place also within the environment and with all the diseases that we face today. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, epigenetic science is not merely the next buzzword and Instagrammable world and in skincare. It is a transformative understanding of beauty at its most fundamental level. As we venture deeper into this exciting frontier, we can look forward to a world where beauty is not just skin deep, but anchored in the very molecules that define us. Epigenetics plays a significant role in numerous skin diseases and conditions. While our understanding is still expanding, researchers have identified various epigenetic modifications associated with onset, progression, and severity of certain skin diseases. Cell division, you all remember? Way back when we went to school, a biological process that allows organisms to grow, reproduce, and repair. And epigenetics plays a crucial role in ensuring that cell division occurs correctly and that genes are appropriately expressed or repressed in the daughter cells. So the role in aging as cell divide over time, there can be a gradual accumulation of epigenetic changes, some or which are actually associated with aging and age-related functions. In essence, while the genetic code provides the basic instructions for life, like how I look and what color my eyes are and my hair and how tall I grow, the epigenetic ensures that these instructions are read correctly, especially during cell division, allowing for a diverse range of cell types and functions we observe in complex organisms. So I'll be showing you a presentation as well that is really going deeper and showing you the DNA blueprint actually at the core of our human cells. This DNA is layered and achieving and giving us all the information taken from our parents and grandparents and whatever we inherit. However, it only makes out more than 30% of our genetic structures. So almost 70% are RNA and not DNA-based information. And this is actually like a symphony, like a musician plays a symphony that is actually really, really determined to finding itself in which atmosphere you're playing an instrument and singing your song, because this makes out the quality. And this is also about how our environment is actually taking changes on our skin and how we age and how we grow up and whatever we've inherited and what's going on in the future with our skin actually. So how does epigenetic science influence the skincare and especially the skincare market nowadays? Because it is really, really changed during the last years. As we age, our skin undergoes numerous changes. It loses elasticity, becomes thinner, and it becomes also more prone to wrinkles, pigmentation, and other age-related changes. However, scientists have found out that actually during the last years, the pollution has taken immense influences on the hyperpigmentation within the skin. So in Asian countries, there are a numerous number of people who are protecting their skin very, very strong from UV rays, actually all time wearing long clothes and covering their body and face to protect themselves from damageable UV rays. However, they have lots of hyperpigmentation that finds its roots in the pollution. So this is actually what really has changed throughout the last 15 years. And this is also what scientists have found out, that goes even when women are pregnant, you find that actually in the fetus, that you can also show up that there are effects of pollution also visible. And this is actually really a scary thing. If you take a closer look at how we're gonna go and how we're gonna age, more number of people are coming up to the earth, and we have lots of cars, we have lots of pollution, we have lots of changes around us, and we have lots of intrinsic factors, and all these play a factor and a role in like UV radiation, pollution, smoking, how we eat, medical progresses, and everything that we consume has effects on our body and how we age. So these epigenetic changes are believed to bring a bridge and build a bridge between this extrinsic environmental factors and the observed changes in the skin. Take a look at the word epigenetics and how it is defined. You will find out that it is actually epi, like the epidermal structure. It is above the genetic. It is that word that comes from the Greek on top, and it refers actually how our genetic code is actually read. It is not about changing the DNA, but it is about which part of the genetic code is read within the cell at the time of cell division. And this is what makes that field so interesting, because cell division means that the new cell is a copy of the former one, an exact copy. So if you want to take copies of a paper, you will always have the same structure. So if there's a line on the first page, you will find that line on the further 50 pages maybe, unless you erase it from the first page. So if we take a look at skin diseases like neurodermitis or eczema, it doesn't mean that these issues aren't within the DNA that is divided into the new cell, but it means that you can have influences on the cell's health condition and health biology when and at the time the cell is being divided. So when I'm not in a good health condition, I'm not really strong, and I have an issue and diseases, and my cells are dividing, they will give that information to the next cell. So what I can do is make sure that the next cell generation is getting a stronger biological immune structure. This is like when you have two kids and they are growing up the same way, and one of your children is always in a great health condition even throughout the winter, and the other one is practically ill all the time, even though they get the same food, even though they have the same home and the same parents and also the same genetic structure. So this is also the epigenetics that makes an influence on how our body is reacting and how strong our immune system is, and also the immune system of our cells. So in conclusion, the understanding of epigenetics offers a promising avenue for the development of skincare that don't just superficial symptoms, but addresses the underlying molecular changes. And this is the most important thing, because this is how we can actually take influence on several skin diseases in the future, and also making sure that skincare companies can focus on individuals' needs and also meet today's needs. Because look at that exhibition, so beautiful, so many countries, so many people, and so many offers, and everybody is looking for that special field that is meeting his point of interest. So what could be mine? What is the best for me? What is the best for my family, for my kids, and for my skin? Finding out these things, the science is doing really, really amazing things today, and research are being done actually throughout the last 25 years in that field. So can epigenetic lead to a better skin condition? And this is absolutely true. It can, because the beauty of epigenetic science lies in the potential of intervention and for the design products and counteracting with the skin and with these issues that we face today and with the challenges that we face today. So it's not just a science fiction thing, actually. It is really happening, and brands are developing special creams and serums and treatments, and it is really important not only going on top of the symptoms, because they will return anyway, but finding solutions for the depth of the problem. So it's like when it comes to supplements, certain foods are rich in compounds that can influence epigenetic modifications, like folic acid, and nuts and beans play a really, really crucial role in the methylation of DNA. Antioxidants, like found in berries, nuts, dark chocolate, spinach, and everything, can help combat oxidative stress and also induce epigenetic changes that leads definitely to skin aging. And like I mentioned, there are emerging skincare products formulated based on epigenetic principles. And these products may contain ingredients that can influence DNA methylation, histone modification, and the expression of some microRNAs to promote the skin's health condition and reduce chronic stress from the skin that definitely leads to hormonal imbalances and has associated with various epigenetic changes, like how we can practice relaxation techniques and get better sleep and reduce the stress that we face every day and manage it. And of course, there's also the bad habits that every one of us has, like food and less sleep and smoking and consuming alcohol and all that, that also leads to skin issues and skin inflammation, of course. Is about cell division and how the new cell generation is being read. It is not that we can change the genetic code, but it is how the genetic code is being read. Like if you turn off the spots, actually some parts are darker and less readable. So these parts are also less readable to the microRNAs in the new daughter generation, actually. So they are less active. It is like a light that you turn on and turn off. And this is what epigenetic is about. It's about pointing out that the new cell generation gets the positive information and is a little bit stronger when it divides itself. So further generations are becoming stronger and stronger. And even though they are still facing the same diseases in their genetic structure, they can better handle them. So they are well trained, they are better trained and have a better cell immune stability. And that's what it's really, really about. It is the mechanisms about the chemical groups that we have and about the structure of how the protein modification takes place within the cells. And that's actually what's really fascinating also to the science when creating new treatments, also in cancer therapy and also in the therapy of healing eczema, psoriasis, allergies, and lots of skincare issues, which we face today, even within newborn children and also old people. And a lot of you might have friends or family who've been to dermatologists several times with skin issues and they never found any solution because they are always facing the same symptoms again and again and again. It gets better for a while when you take certain medication, when you're using certain creams, when you're using corticoids or antibiotica or whatever, but it comes back and the return is even worse than it was before. And this is something that's really frustrating. It's also frustrating for the ones who are experiencing it, even children at very, very young age, because the itchiness, because of redness. And when you turn older and when you're a teenager's age, imagine those which are facing isolation. And it is also a psychological stress that also leads to a higher level of stress. So they can never find relaxation. They can never find personal and individual peace and get actually that confidence that they need. So this is a really a huge topic actually within the family, within the doctors, because it's like I'm from Germany and dermatologists are really, really crowded, and it's really hard to get appointments and to find the time talking to a doctor and taking the time for the skin to find out what is the root of the issue. It is not about just solving the symptoms, but it is about going deeper and finding out the roots of that problem. And sometimes it can also happen that we can't actually find the solution, but the opportunity that we have actually is making the cell as stable as it can be to face the problem. So however, I cannot erase and delete that information like genetic eczema that I've inherited before. I can make sure that the cell is strong enough to go on and face these challenges when it comes to the next generation of cell. And this is actually epigenetics, and the histone modification is part of it. And these are actually, histones are those little proteins around the DNA and around the nucleus, and they make sure how our genetic code is actually read and how it is transcribed. Like when I want to read this page, and this is all in the same language, I can easily read it and understand. When there are just like 2 single letters in a different language, it might not change my understanding of this page and not even change the context. But if half of this page was in a different language, even in different writing, I couldn't even read nor understand. And this is actually how the cells and how this protein modification is taking place while cell division. So this is the important part to understand what epigenetics is actually about and how much influence is being taken from outside to how we age and how our skin's condition is within that process. And some RNA molecules are actually exactly at that spot to do that regulation. If we take a look back to the very, very nasty time of Corona, which we all want to forget, actually, by the way, we'll find out that all those vaccines that have been invented are about RNA. And it means that these proteins are modified in a very special way to go back to the body and fight against the virus. So this is actually the same kind of science when it comes to skin issues and skin diseases and healing them, or actually making sure that the cell is able facing them. Because the heritability that we have cannot be changed, however. So if you take a closer look at your family and maybe you find out that there is within the family issues of hyperpigmentation, and a lot of people know, oh yes, I have all these pigments on my face. My mom has it too. My grandmother used to have it. And yes, this is inheritable. And so we know that I might get that as well. And the same way it goes on with eczema or psoriasis maybe. And these are issues that we inherit. But it is about how the cell is able to fight these symptoms within the next generation. So what I can do is taking action in my cell stability by doing the special kind of food. However, the quality of the food that we consume today has changed anyway, because also our environment has changed significantly. Even the quality of the soil has changed. So scientists have found out that potatoes these days have 32% less of nutritions than they used to have 25 years ago. So during that time, everything also in the soil and the nutritions have changed significantly. That definitely takes visible results on what is actually happening within the body, because everything goes back to what we eat and what we consume and how we live. And we have lots of inner noxes and external noxes that are actually having effects on our skin's health condition. And how the skin diseases and epigenetics collaborate is what I want to like to show you on these skin diseases that I've been talking about, like psoriasis. And exactly at this part is where the histone deacetylase enzymes, which modify histones and regulate the gene expression, have been found to be active in psoriasis. And this is proposed to a potential therapeutic agents for the condition. So it's been an evidence proof that there is going back to epigenetic changes. And nowadays we find a lot of more children having psoriasis than even 15 years ago. Also the same with the atopic dermatitis. And this is something that can also nowadays easily be healed within the microRNA expression. So special ingredients are being developed during the last years, and they can definitely change these proteins that take action and change the skin's condition, leading to a better cell immune system that makes your cells more resistible against external stress factors and aggressors. The same is about vitiligo, something that definitely goes back to inheritability. And this is something that can't be healed. Never ever you can change that genetic code that leads to vitiligo. But what can happen here is actually that you can make sure that the signs of vitiligo are less visible, and it starts very, very late showing the first symptoms. So this is actually an improvement when it comes to an individual's life quality, how you can improve somebody's life and make sure that these people are having a relaxed mind while still facing these kind of skin diseases like melanoma, and that leads to hyperpigmentation, as we've been talking about, and also alopecia areata. That's also really, really a very strong and heavily growing skin disease and health disease as well. You also find scleroderma, and dermatologists have found out about the epigenetics effect on that as well. Again, it is about how the information is given to the daughter cell when the cell is dividing, and it makes this next cell more stable toward these aggressors, so we can definitely take action on our skin health condition within epigenetics. And this is about the histone recycling. You always have heard about dead cells because lots of skincare companies are telling you with cleansers you can remove dead cells and take them away. Dead cells are actually cells lying on our epidermal layer, but these cells aren't really dead because they still have 30% of aggressors, and they are still having effects on skin inflammation and result in any kind of inflammation that we have, actually. And this histone code is something that can also be modified within the epigenetic science and epigenetic strands of the DNA. And it's a really, really interesting field, because scientists and also lots of skincare brands are doing research and finding stem cells that can exactly work on those histone proteins needed for an individual's needs and issue. And this epigenetic skincare is going to be the future of the skincare market and lead to individual treatments, to an individual schedule for each one's personal need, because this is absolutely remarkable which standards we have achieved today. And if we take a look back actually at lots of people who might say, you know what, my grandmother never used any specific skincare. She was 98 years old and she always looked brilliant. Even my grandma did. And why shall we use lots of serums, lots of creams, and doing like system cosmetics and all that just to achieve our goals and our aims? The answer is because the environment has changed, because there are lots of challenges that we face nowadays that my grandmother didn't have to face. It was the quality of the food, it was the quality of the air, it was the quality of life. And all this is taking actually action on how we age and which challenges our skin's condition is going through. And this is actually the future of the skincare market. So if we are talking about a phenomenal skincare, we have to find out what is somebody's individual need and how can I modify actually ingredients and make sure that they work exactly where I need them. However, I can only influence a very small part. I can't take back or erase any genetic information. I can make sure to get a better body condition, a better immune system condition, to rise my cell's metabolism and make sure to be actually more resistant against internal and external stress aggressors, to fight actually also skin inflammation when it comes to aging cells. Because when our cells are aging, they are also having less cells metabolism and less cell immune system. It is like when you have children or you observe kids, when they break their legs, it's healed within very, very short time. And if you have old people breaking a hip or a leg, it takes really, really long. So because the cell condition is very weak and the body isn't in charge to do all these changes, because all the processes are slower and slower and all that. And this is actually what happens when we grow older. So in a sense, when the genetic code provides the basic instructions for our life, the epigenetics ensures that these instructions are definitely read correctly, and especially during the time when the cell division is happening. market has changed because we find out that lots of hyperpigmentation and UV radiation is taking an immense influence on different skin diseases. So even actually sun protection is different today than it was years ago, because today we have another kind of factors. Also, the pollution is a huge factor to combat and fight when it comes to skincare and regulate the inflammation within the skin. And saving our microbiome is one of the most important things that we can do. Like the clothes that you're wearing is saving your body when you go out. You're protecting your body when it's cold with a jacket, while your skin and your face is most of the time uncovered and is facing UVA radiation throughout the year, even when the sun is not shining. So when you have a beautiful office with a wonderful view and you're sitting right at a window, you have a 10 times higher of UVA ray exposure than if you're actually just sitting in the shadow. And it makes an immense influence on your skin and take interactions on that. And you will see that aging and inflammation is very close together. And this is actually while during the last years, a new word has found its way within skincare companies, and it is actually inflammaging. And this is actually a word that we find nowadays because it takes action on how we age. The more inflammation you have within your skin, it leads to a former aging process because your cells are less stable, your cells are weaker, and your cells are divided weaker. So they aren't resistant toward today's challenges, toward the environmental stress and the pollution. So the condition, like all these skin diseases that we've been talking before, is actually changeable if we take a look at epigenetic science and if we focus on epigenetic products and going on microRNAs and taking a closer look at them, it will show us that RNA is actually absolutely what we can influence, and that leads to better skin condition during the aging process and while we get older. And also, if it comes to skin conditions when you are taking medication, actually at the time when you are suffering from cancer and you're really heavily taking medication, you still can work on your health and immune system condition. And even after that, because after having successfully fight and won that fight against cancer, you can do an influence on your skin. And this is the most important thing because we have millions of people suffering from this terrible illness. And this illness isn't just about what happens in the body, but it is also what happens with you and how you look, because a lot of people are losing their hair because a lot of them are really suffering from that, and the skin is undergoing really hard times. The skin is the largest organ that we have, and whatever happens within the body finds actually all the way back to the outside throughout the skin. So working on a better skin condition, working on a better skin immune system, and raising the cells actually stability is the major feature of skincare when it comes to the next century and to the next generation. However, it is a huge field that started the first steps within the 70s actually, and the science is still at the very beginning if it comes to epigenetics. However, we found out so much, but it is still actually sticking in kids' shoes and going on, and it is really interesting. And I can't wait to see what the future of skincare and epigenetics will bring to us. And yes, at that time, thank you for listening and giving me your time.